5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Hey everybody, welcome back inside the stash. So as the title card would indicate, this is a acquisition video. Kind of a quick and dirty one. I have a couple of these recorded on other media other than the media that this camera gets recorded to, that I do the monthly videos on. And so I have yet to pull those videos down and transfer them onto my main computer to edit them. And this video sort of stems from last week when we got together, myself, Sean, and Mr. Tester of Scale Model Experiment, to do our first episode of Season 2 of the Automotive Podcast. And in the background, back here, where the famous Valentine's teddy bear weights down that fitted sheet that covers my spray booth, and for anyone who is not aware of the whys behind that, well, A, my wife loves me, and she bought me a teddy bear. Are you jealous? Yeah, you are. But seriously, the reason why there is a sheet over it is because the cats will lay on it. And so I put a sheet over it so they would not lay in it and get their fur all over my filters. Because if you're not familiar with an Artograph 1530, it is a downdraft booth, meaning that the fans are in the bottom, and it draws the, obviously much like a real car air booth. It draws the air down and out rather than going through the back or the top like some of the other booths you'll see. And I need to stop holding my hands up in front of that window because I realized that what makes this camera go absolutely bat crap crazy on the lighting and darkening is whether or not that window is being blocked. I need to get like blackout shades for it because clearly those drapes just aren't going to work for the purposes of having the camera pointed back here towards that. Anyway, off track. Anyway, back there by that bear was a plastic bag, and he was like, "What's in that plastic bag?" And I said, "Oh, it's just some things I picked up." And he's like, "Well, let me see what's in it." And so I showed him what was in it. It's not back there right now because it's on the floor beside me so that I can show them to you. And we came to the realization that the bag contains several items that I picked up from him because he is sort of my my middleman in the dealings from PZY Kitbox to a certain extent. More from Encore and Miniature from Wenben. He tends to ship our stuff together to James, and then at some point I pick them up from James. I guess it saves me money in shipping, although then I usually don't get things for several months afterwards. Not like I was going to build them right away anyway, so the waiting really not that big of an issue. I do my PZY Kitbox stuff straight through the company and directly from them. Anyway, it was stuff that I picked up from him in October at the Plastic Undercover show in Akron, back to like the second Saturday of October, I think is when that show was. Anyway, it's been like 4 months ago. And the stuff was still sitting back there in the bag because I went to my local hobby shop the next day and picked up a couple of kits, which were primarily what was in the bag, plus because the stuff I got from him was just decal sheets. And I realized that, the situation with the kits in terms of holding them and to get them filmed, it wasn't getting any better. So I needed to do one of these just so I could find the find the air booth, because I'd like to do some work on some stuff, and I really don't want to move the things that were back there out of the way and then, move them back afterwards. I would like to put them away. So, with that being said, let's take a look at what is actually in this plastic bag. Let's go a little bit earlier here, shall we? So, I picked up from Bai, which is Yahoo Japan Auctions proxy bidding site, a couple of new Audi kits. The old ones, the 2015 body style kits, are very, very hard to find all of a sudden. And this is, I have a whole conversation about the way that import kits are in stock forever and then they disappear and then you can't find them at all. But at any rate, I found a couple of them that were selling for like right around what they should cost, and so I picked them up. And so I got the Hong Kong 2015 Macau GT kit. I already have this sheet of decals. Frankie did it at SK probably in 2016, right after this race was run. So this is just a blank kit, basically, to me. I'm not going to build it with this livery on it necessarily because I've already built one, or I already have the decals to do one, so I don't really need to do this specific one as that one. And then I also picked up one of the original release of the kits, the original 2015 Spa car. Again, just as a blank, I already have, I think, 4 of these. But the problem is that decals for this older body style kit, I have like 30 sets of decals, and I only have like 3 or 4 kits laying around. I don't necessarily need to buy like 30 of these, but I like to have more than like 1 or 2 spare ones, because it's really what got me into a jam excuse me, with later versions of the McLaren 12C GT3 car. There are 2 kits, well, there's actually 5 kits total of that car, but there was a 2013 and later kit and a 2012 and before kit, and there are significant differences between the hoods, engine covers, spoilers, wheels, and interior components between those 2 kits. There's a couple builds being done on YouTube right now that are finding that out the hard way, where they're using new decals on an old kit and then complaining that the decals don't fit, where in fact the decals fit just fine if you were using the right kit in the first place. But it's very, very easy for someone who's not familiar with the kits to not realize that there are 2 different kits. So I don't blame the builders whatsoever. They just don't know. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, don't slag the decal guys, because they made the decals to fit the kits they're supposed to fit, not the one you're using. So anyway, I got those. There's supposed to be, sometime in the next month or 2, another run of the 2015 kits in that box art that I just showed you, the one with the red car on it. Because there hasn't been a run of them done since the kit came out in 2018. So having another run of those would be nice. I don't know how many of them I would pick up necessarily, maybe 2 or 3, just to sort of have a little bit of a buffer. Because, like, if I decided I was going to build any of the 2015 Audi kits that I have, I would want to build them in the box liveries that they came in. That car, the red car that's on that box art, is the second place car from the Spa race, so it's, you know, to me, a significant enough car to do as the box car. If I didn't have a sheet of decals to do the Macau car, I'd want to do that ape camo livery, because that's a really, really complex and cool set of decals, which, you know, is right up my alley in the challenging decal department. So I'd want to do that. I have some of the other Macau 2015 kits, and I want to do them as the Macau kits because they're winning cars. And so, you know, to get into the point of you know, doing the aftermarket sheets, I need some spares. And the 12C kits that I have 2 2013 12C kits, and that's it. They've done a run of the earlier version, and I have gone, you may recall if you watch this channel for long enough, I have gone out and bought like 1.5 dozen of those to use for all those sheets of decals. But I don't have, I have basically one spare 2013 plus kit, and I have 15 sets of decals. I need Fujimi to run that other kit so bad. So, at any rate, my first world problems aside, also from Baiyi, because it tends to be easier to get some of the stuff from there and just suck it up and pay the difference in shipping and stuff like that. I got a couple of sheets of decals here from Decal Pool, which are out of Hong Kong. This particular one is for the Advan livery for the 1985 Japanese Touring Car Championship. This was the class winner in 1985, so it's a pretty basic sheet of decals in terms of the livery itself. If you've seen one Advan car, you kind of seen them all. And that goes on to, I believe they're recommending a Fujimi one here, but this goes on to an Aoshima. It requires a couple of kits ultimately to do these with an Aoshima kit, because you need the race car version and they need some parts of the factory stock version, but the Aoshima kit's a better A86. So anyway, there's that. This is a sheet of decals that does the BMW X-Ray car. I know there's probably a better name for it. It's an art car, really. And you may recall that when Tamiya did their BMW 635i kit, it has this 1985 24 Hours of Spa winning livery on the box. And if I tip out of the way here, let's see, where are they? They're up there on the top. Probably can't see it unless you blow the video up and then blow the video up, but these top kits here, if you've ever seen a Tamiya race car, Fujimi also did one with this livery in it as well. But at any rate, if you buy those 635i kits, they're fairly easy to find in Japan still, but obviously because those kits were made in 1986, those decals have long since been shot, and so this is a recreation of the kit decals, which, you know, if you've ever wanted to build one of those kits as the actual livery in the box with the x-ray of the car, which is a pretty cool livery, you know, there hasn't really been a way to do that, so now there is. And then this sheet here is from MSM Creation. They're also out of Hong Kong. And this goes to the BMW 320i Dragon kit. Now, why would I buy a set of decals for like a really weird, oddball thing like that? Well, A, I own this kit, and B, we haven't really covered it, I don't think at all, in any kind of in-depth. Nunu reissued that Dragon kit, the race car. I don't know where they got the tooling from. I don't understand. They took all of the Dragon marks and machined them off and put Nunu marks on the tooling now. So it is my understanding they now own that tooling fully. It is not something they are just borrowing from Dragon to get some plastic run through. Sounds like they now have purchased that tooling in some form or fashion to own it. And at any rate, when Dragon did their kits, they did 3 race cars of the 4-door 320i later version, this being later than the Hasegawa 318i kits that have come out. And one of them was pre-decorated in this livery for the 1998 STW, which was the intermediate successor to DTM. DTM existed from the early 90s to the mid 1990s. Stopped in 1996 after it became basically F1 cars with fiberglass bodies on them. They were incredibly expensive, incredibly technologically advanced sedans, to be honest, but incredibly expensive series to run, to operate. And it fell apart due to the fact that nobody wanted to spend the money. Now in 2000, DTM was recreated. Tamiya did kits at that time, and DTM still exists today, now as a GT3 series, after many years of being sort of a quasi-Super GT kind of series in terms of what the cars were. At any rate, back in the day, they created a set of decals at Dragon for this car. It was the championship car for the 1998 season. And the car comes sort of quasi-pre-decorated. It's got some decals already tampo printed onto the body. Now some alcohol should take those tampo printing off. And this sheet basically goes in and replaces those decals. Try to get this to focus. Through plastic, it's not gonna like this camera angle, but you get the general gist of the idea there. And I mean, it's a set of nicely screen printed decals. It's got sort of engine and suspension component thing going on in the front hood area and on the sides of the car. Very famous. This checkerboard thing was on a lot of the cars that were run by BMW corporate at the time. So it's a follow up on that for Schnitzer Racing. So anyway, I don't know when I'm ever going to get around to that kit, but this set of decals is still in production, but it's a little hard to get a hold of in terms of getting it here in the United States. So I saw the opportunity to get one, and I did. So there are those. In this bag, it started all of this. From a local hobby shop, I picked up this kit, which of course is the most recent reissue of the 90s era 1966 Buick Riviera. I already had this kit from when it was released originally, but there's a larger decal sheet on this that has like gauges and stuff like that, which is something the original late Mueller era AMT Ertl kit did not have. This has some stripes in it, which, here or there I really couldn't care. But again, better decals. It's got pad printed tires on it, which is something else that the kit wouldn't have had back in the 1990s. So, because this is a good kit to begin with, I went, yeah, you know what? I'm going to sell the original one, and I'm going to pick up the new one. And so I did. So there's that. And then the other kit that's in this bag is the Mobius release of the Canada Mercury M100 pickup truck. You guys probably seen this. It's been around since October, obviously. So it's just the F-Series pickup truck with the new grille, new hood, and new tailgate added to it, along with a new set of wheels that will be in all future F-Series. They finally, I don't know, 10 years into this kit series, have finally created the actual appropriate, correct F100 wheel covers. Those have not been the right wheel covers prior to now. I will say, talking to people at Mobius going forward, these wheel covers will be in every F-Series kit after this. So there's that. At the moment, you cannot buy these wheel covers separately. There's some bits and pieces to the Mobius truck kits that you can buy through Pegasus, who owns Mobius. Separately, right now, those wheel covers aren't there. I hope at some point they do put them in there, because there are something like 12 gajillion versions of this kit that exist already that could use the right wheel covers if you care enough about it, or you don't want to go buy aftermarket Fireball resin ones. At any rate, so there's some new parts in here. Obviously, the whole shtick is to build it as a Canadian truck, since that's what this is. It is the first time that a Canadian-specific vehicle has ever been offered in plastic. So there's that cool little tidbit. And then I picked the stuff I picked up from the Plastic Undercover show. So Mr. Tester had been good enough to print off for me on one of his many gajillion resin printers a set of the Anki racing rims for the Mercedes AMG GT3 kit that Tamiya does. These ones go to a couple of different sheets of the miniature decals, Good Small Racing cars. Also goes to the rookie racing decal sheets that LB Production does. LB Production also does sets of rims, if you don't have a James Tester in your life who can print you off a set. So yeah, these look really nice. They're 3D printed, and then they've got pins floating around in there. Probably can't see them, but for putting through to mount them to the polycaps, and then they would be the center locks to the wheels. So that was very cool. James, thank you very much for printing those off for me. And then at the show itself, I picked up 2 sheets of decals that I actually paid for at the show. One was a set of the Studio 27 carbon fiber for an MP412C kit. These have become somewhat unobtainable because they go to the older kit, the 2012 and before kit. I thought I had a couple sheets of this laying around. It turns out I did not. And so what I'm going to do, of course, is make a photocopy of this side of the sheet and be able to cut my own templates from it. The only thing that's different on here is the Kevlar for the seat itself, so that's not really too bad. The rest of it is pretty straightforward carbon fiber. There's not really any kind of crazy patterns to this other than the center console one, which you could probably get away with. Given the fact that I built a couple of these kits, you could get away with not carbon fibering much of the interior, because you can't see any of it once the kit's assembled, because it's got little slits for windows. But this will give you the wing and the rear diffuser, the front lips. I'm way off camera there, aren't I? Ha! Give you the wing and the rear diffuser, the front lip spoiler, a couple of bits and pieces. These things on the outside edge here are behind the side window. They have holes for the fuel filler and for the fuel filler dummy, because the fuel filler changed on the side of the car depending on what track it was at and stuff like that. And yeah, like I said, this is just I needed I'm going to use this sheet obviously, but I needed the sheet itself to get a photocopy of it, because I could find images of this online, but unless you can make a 1-to-1 size copy of the sheet, you're always going to be like, is that sheet the right size? Is that the image I got? If I print that out, is it going to be bigger, smaller, or the same? So so there's that. And then the other thing I picked up was this sheet. This is spot model on it. I personally did not purchase it from spot model. The vendor I bought it from did. And what this is the 1997 FIA GT1 series. So this would have been the series that the Mercedes CLK GTR ran, the long-tail McLaren F1 GTR ran in, and a couple other cars. In 1997, the Mercedes cars won the championship and all of the races, except for like 2. And the other 2 were won by the FINA team. Again, Schnitzer Racing, there's that checkerboard that we're talking about with those other decals, for their long-tail McLaren. Now, I have a bunch of Aoshima. You can't quite see them because they're behind this box, but I have a bunch of the Aoshima long-tail kits. And so, even though these are designed for the... Nope, these actually are designed for the Aoshima kits, so that's nice. I want to do this because this car, one of these cars, there's two different cars here. This is, trying to think of who the drivers were off the top of my head. Well, let's see if I can find them real fast here. It's Peter Cox and Roberto Rivalla on one of them, and I think it's Marcus Winkelhock and somebody else on the other one. But at any rate, nope, Steven Soper and Jay. I'm trying to think what the heck that guy's first name is. Can't think off the top of my head, but it's what his actual first name is because there's just an initial on here. But Leto being the other driver with Steven Soper. At any rate, they won like a couple races. They finished 3rd in the points that year. And so having this car, having Steven Soper's car, the number 8 car, built along with the 3 Mercedes CLK GTRs would basically be all the cars that won in 1997 in this series. So I have all the Mercedes kits. I am not going to show the decals to you now because they're stuck in a pile of stuff that I still have to go through to dig them back out of again to put them away because yay! But at any rate, I have all of the Mercedes kits. I have all of the Mercedes photo etch. I have all the Mercedes carbon fiber. I have carbon fiber and photo etch and everything for at least 1 or maybe 2 Aoshima McLarens. So like I could, if I ever want to do this project, I could really roll through it. But you know, he said. At any rate, in here from the my miniature order, and unfortunately this is I didn't take a close enough look at this to to see what I was doing. But at any rate, there's some extra pieces and bits in here. They were sort of like promo decals, so they're not really to this kit. But in here is the... It's just blank on this side. Isn't that great? This shows how much I care about you guys to be prepared. I mean, I care about some of you guys, I guess, but not enough to be prepared. And now I can't get the instruction sheet out of here because that would be too easy. So this is basically just a photocopy of the Fujimi instructions. But what this is are the decals to do the... It's going to be impossible to see because it's going to show through both sides there. But this is the 2011 BMW Z3 Good Small Racing kit. So Fujimi did 2 of these because they did 2 different versions of these decal sheets. When Mr. Wenben printed this, he printed it all as one big sheet. So all of the decals to do this are on here, regardless as to which one of the 2 different versions of the car you want to do. But this is a very fancy set of decals. It'd be great if it could sort of focus on any of it. Come on, you know you want to. There we go. So you get the idea. It is Miss Miku on there in her many different forms. And I have a bunch of... The things I have are samples of like the bottom of this decal sheet. But yeah, this is a very, very complex, as aren't they all, sheet of decals for the 2011 car. So that's cool. There are at this point really only 1 more of the old school sheets of decals that Mr. Wenben needs to do, and that's for the 2010 Porsches, which are also done by Fujimi. So it's just a matter of recreating the decal sheet. I know those are on his priority list somewhere, but they're not right at the top of it right now. But that, you know, I have both kits, and both of my kits' decals are pretty good shape. But using Fujimi decals, it's kind of anybody's guess as to what you're going to get out of that, and so not having to do that would be pretty awesome. This sheet is for the 2024 season of Super GT. The current, well, would be the current, 2025 is coming pretty quick, but the current Mercedes that was used this year. So, 2015, Good Smile Racing moved from BMW to Mercedes, and they've been with Mercedes literally ever since then. And so, what we have here, other than a failure to communicate, is another great big honking sheet of decals. If I can get it out here. The trick to these resealable bags when you're dealing with them is try to get the thing out without getting this decal sheet stuck to the resealable bag. So here we go. It's actually looks better from further away. But you get the general gist, right? So primarily red car with white accents towards the rear, and then sort of these teal and silver and whatnot in the back of the car. So that'll be a fun sheet, because aren't all of these just a hoot nanny? But these are they're really gorgeous decals. You got to kind of see them in person to appreciate them, I think. But they're all, I mean, this is professionally screen printed. The whole kit and caboodle with that. There's 2 different hood decals, so I can build this with 2 different race options to it. So that's incredibly cool. And yeah, you have to be, I will admit, you got to be of a certain lunatic fringe. And see, that's what I'm talking about, getting stuck to the decal sheet. Now I got to try to pull this self-adhesive out here without wrecking the decal sheet. The secret really is to this. You got to take out the protective wax packaging, have that block the sticky part, and then you realize that you're just going to sacrifice part of that wax to the sticky part, which actually doesn't seem like it really did too bad of a job this time around. So at any rate, you have to be of a certain insanity, I realize, to want to participate in decaling that many decals onto anything, let alone a Tamiya kit that you now have to use. Also, you need these wheels for that one. That's one of the kits we're talking about that needs the inky rims. So you need an aftermarket set of rims. You need a aftermarket front and rear end to turn the Tamiya kit into the Evo rendition. You can get that off of Wenben. You can get that off of LB Production. You can get that off of Zoomon. You can get that off of Hobby Design. There are many places to get that front end converted. I think KMP, maybe if they have it in stock at any given time, they might be able to get that for you too. But at any rate, the the point being, I know that not everybody wants to be crazy with their Cheese Whiz decaling a car like that. Fully understand that. But man, are they nice decals. They are gorgeous. And in the case of replacing Fujimi kit decals, they're so way above and beyond what the Fujimi kit decals were that it's not even funny. And then that's it, guys. The bag is empty. The desk is clear. I have no excuses other than my own ability to dodge modeling responsibilities. Hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a look at what we've gotten recently, and we'll see you guys on the other side.